Hello. Um, I'm going to review the lecture Molecular Biomechanics and Mechanobiology by Professor Cheng Zhu of the Department of Biomedical Engineering at Georgia Tech. Um, the lecture, honestly, I found it quite difficult to follow because I haven't studied chemistry or biology at that level ever, and I couldn't relate it to physics as much as I was hoping I would be able to, but the idea that the field of mechanobiology, according to Wikipedia at least, is an emerging field of science and at the interface of biology and engineering. It focuses on the way that physical forces and changes in cell or tissue mechanics contribute to development, physiology, and disease. Now, um, I managed to get like the basic idea of what was happening, and but I couldn't really follow the particulars of the lecture. The first idea that Dr. Zhu presented was that the cell is a collection of protein machines. Now, if we remember like simple machines like a lever or anything along those lines, but the machines that he talked about are mechanopresenters, mechanoreceptors, mechanotransmitters, mechanosensors, and mechanoresponders. These are all different molecules that present information or receive information, or a mechanotransmitter is a structural molecule that transmits the mechanically encoded information over distance. Like, these are different molecules that respond to mechanical cues, and there's like biological functions that happen because of them. One of the slides that I did understand or was an analogy of how in mechanics how force alters motion. We all know like um, acceleration is uh, acceleration is a function of force in a way, like F is equal to ma. And molecular interaction, he introduced the idea that molecular interactions are modeled by reaction kinetics and mass action law, which has an equation of R plus L B. But these are, I'm just reading off some pictures that I took during the lecture to help me do this review later on. But I did I understood that idea, but his lecture mainly focused on presenting these four conclusions, and one of the first conclusions he presented was BWF, which is a molecule, von Willebrand factor, is a mechanopresenter because it changes its conformation to present a binding site to a different domain of ADAMTS13, which is an enzyme, upon being exposed to flow shear stress. Now, I don't really know like what BWF or ADAMTS are, but I do understand that like the molecule, a biological molecule, responded to a mechanical force, in this case flow shear stress, and changed how it was going to act. Now, similarly, conclusion 2 is that ADAMTS enzyme forms a different type of bond because of the flow that is experienced. From what I understand, that this flow that that he's referring to is blood flow, or maybe some, or just the experimental flow. Now, the third conclusion was GPLB alpha is a mechanoreceptor because platelet signaling is triggered by a force it receives. Again, the next part of the conclusion was that it's also a likely mechanosensor because it can interpret information encoded in the force waveform. And the third part of the conclusion was catch and slip bonds of the cell surface receptor determine intracellular calcium signals. Now, I there's not the what I take away from this again is that mechanical forces have changed the way the cell is behaving. Not the cell, I mean the molecule. And finally, the last part, the fourth conclusion was single integrin alpha beta bending and unbending conformational changes can be visualized on living cells. I do remember from the lectures that there was a section of small videos or animations that he showed about how they were poking or perturbing small cells or molecules using like a pipette tube, and how because of that it reacted in different ways, and that's referring to this bending and unbending conformational changes that it experienced. Uh, Overall, it was an interesting lecture in the idea it was presenting, but it was kind of difficult to follow. And there was something interesting that I found later on, was that it has a lot of impact. This research has the potential to on medicine, because uh, general research is usually looking for genetic basis of diseases, but over here we are looking at mechanical uh, changes in cell biology or cell mechanics, or the extracellular matrix of the structure of a cell can contribute to a disease, like how it could affect diseases such as fibrosis, asthma, osteoporosis, heart failure, or even cancer. And how this field that which is this emerging field where research is going on could one day maybe change the way we look at diseases and treat diseases. Thank you.